Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben. With me, as always, is Matt. Today, we are helping you with your rookie drafts, and we were talking about quarterbacks and tight ends. Tight ends going to be real quick, so if you want to check in the description for the timestamp, if you want to jump directly to tight ends. But if you're here for the quarterbacks, then let's get into it. Matt, how you doing today?
I am doing well. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. Excited to be back doing this with you in May. We're getting an early start on it this year. It's rookie season, and everyone's got rookie fever. I know I had a draft not too long ago where I traded a fourth-round pick for a fourth-round pick next year, and someone named Miko Hardman, which was a steal. Great value. But the rookie fever has kicked in. Matt, have you done any drafts yet?
I have not done any drafts quite yet.
All right. So no stories from you. Let's jump right into quarterbacks. So basically, the way to look at the quarterbacks in this rookie draft is there are three tiers of quarterbacks. We have the top tier quarterbacks. Matt, why don't you read those guys off?
We have Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance.
And according to our rankings, they should be about a late first to an early second round pick. We have Trevor Lawrence ahead. Justin Fields I have higher than you, and I also have Trey Lance a fair bit higher than you. So you're a big believer in waiting on this next two of this top tier. Why don't you give us your reasons for that?
Single quarterback leagues, I just believe that there's more value taken with running backs and wide receivers early, or possibly a tight end in this particular year here. Quarterbacks, you can find. I always wait on quarterbacks. I don't believe that any of them are that great that it's worth taking.
In a one quarterback league, you only need 12 quarterbacks and a backup for 1 week. So, I mean, after the top 20, like if these guys are not going to be top 20 guys, which we believe they're going to be, but the chance that Justin Fields doesn't land is there. The fact that Trey Lance might not turn into what they want him to turn into. So there's risk with those two guys. Trevor Lawrence, you both have at 8. Simply because he's basically a sure thing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to be great. And if he's not, that's going to be shocking to a lot of people. So Trevor Lawrence, you're happy using a first-round pick on him if you're in need of quarterback.
Right.
If you have a good quarterback, you should just be going at a different position.
Yeah.
There's no reason to take him because the trade value for a quarterback in a dynasty league, like another team will find another quarterback and won't give you that much for it. Even if you're playing in redraft leagues, you know how difficult it is to trade a quarterback and get anything of note for it. So if you don't need a quarterback, you're just avoiding these guys altogether. Matt, any last things to say about Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance?
The other thing with I was going to say Trey Lance is that we don't even know if he's starting at all this year. Jimmy Garoppolo is there. He hasn't been moved. He's been a solid starter for when he's been on the field. San Francisco might just take their time. The other two, pretty certain you can say that they're going to both be starting by week 3. Maybe Andy Dalton gets a start or two for Chicago, but that'd be about it. Trevor
Lawrence is going to be starting week 1. That's guaranteed. So, again, if you're playing and you need a quarterback this year, Trevor Lawrence is your guy. Other than that, Matt, if you were in the second round and you had somebody like Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, you're not taking any of these guys, even with the value, even at the late second?
Even as a late second, no, I'm not taking them.
Okay, so you're not solidifying your quarterback position. You're simply saying, I'll take every other position because at no point am I ever going to use this. Not worried about backup because you need your guy or else you're not going to win. So let's talk about the next tier of quarterbacks. Another couple first-round NFL draft picks, and they are Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. Zach Wilson going to the Jets. Mac Jones going to the Patriots, so division rivals. Matt, who is your favorite here and why?
Zach Wilson is my favorite out of those two there. Also another player that will be starting right out of the gate. I don't believe Mac Jones will be starting this year right out of the gate. I think that's going to be Cam Newton. Zach Wilson's got better weapons in my opinion, which is weird to say because he plays for the New York Jets.
They got some weapons, though.
They do. They have some good weapons now. I just like him better as a quarterback. Mac Jones is more of a game manager type player. I think he's going to be okay at best for fantasy, and Zach Wilson is not going to be a whole lot better, to be honest, but slightly better.
So these are depth guys that you're putting on your roster. I don't think anybody is drafting these in of course, one quarterback league thinking this is going to be the player that takes me to the championship. No, he's more of an insurance policy. So I have Zach Wilson and you have Zach Wilson. We have him late second, early third. You're taking basically a depth quarterback at that point. Mac Jones, you have all the way down at 33 in the rankings, where I have him still as a late second, because I think if you need a quarterback, that's kind of where they're going to go. But again, these are not the quarterbacks that you want for fantasy to be putting up points. I believe in Zach Wilson a lot more than I do Mac Jones, even though I only have him one spot difference. Is just because if you need a quarterback, you're going to take either one. Not much else to say about them. These aren't the fantasy winners. These are the depth pieces that you have in case your quarterback's out for a couple weeks and they're going to get you through with your big dynasty rosters. You need to have some quarterback depth. Early third, if there's no one else that you like there, absolutely take a quarterback to kind of give yourself someone there, especially Zach Wilson. I think the upside there compared to Mac Jones is higher.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to move on to the final tier quarterbacks, and these are complete, basically gambles. This is players are going to be taken in the third, fourth round with hope that maybe they hit, and they do have some fantasy upside. They are Davis Mills, who went to Houston, Kellen Mond, who went to Minnesota, and Kyle Trask, who went to Tampa Bay to back up Tom Brady. Who knows how many years Brady has left. Of these guys, Matt, which one is your favorite if you don't need a quarterback in the near future?
If I don't need one, my favorite would be Kellen Mond. If I need one this year, I'm probably going Davis Mills, because who knows what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, and Tyrod Taylor might get stabbed at the needle incorrectly again.
Yeah, and he's getting older every year.
And Brady's just not going to leave the field. So Kyle Trask, if you need a quarterback for 3 or 4 years down the road, sure, go for it. But Kellen Mond is definitely my favorite of those guys. I don't think Minnesota's that sold on Kirk Cousins. There was a lot of rumblings that they were actually looking at moving up for Justin Fields. Couldn't get the deal done. But the fact that they spent decent draft capital on the quarterback leads me to believe that Cousins is far from safe there.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. If you don't need a quarterback, Kellen Mond is the guy to grab, simply because of the upside. He has the rushing upside. So if he ends up being the guy in Minnesota, even if Kirk Cousins just gets injured for a couple weeks and he gets to play and you see that fantasy upside, he's a guy that you could quickly flip and sell for something. But if you need a quarterback, he's probably not going to see the field this year unless they really struggle. And so your bet is Davis Mills. He has the clearest path to starting. So again, this factors in if you're playing in a two quarterback system as well, right? These are some of the guys that you want to look at as being possibly there, but you're waiting with Kyle Trask 100% because Brady isn't done, doesn't look anywhere near done. You're going to be hoping for an injury with Kellen Mond, and with Davis Mills, he could see play, but is he going to be any good with the weapons that they have there? They've basically gotten rid of everyone. Will Fuller's gone. Hopkins is gone. Who do they have? David Johnson. Who's their best receiver? Cooks,
yeah. They drafted Nico Collins.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity will be there for Nico, and we'll talk about him in our wide receiver rookie breakdown video. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. That'll be coming later in the week. Any last things to say about quarterbacks? Anybody we didn't talk about that you want to mention, Matt, or is that about it for the quarterbacks?
That's pretty well it. I did like Jamie Newman a little bit out of college there, but he went undrafted. But Phillies, again, far from a sure thing for quarterbacks-wise. Jalen Hurts could get hurt, and Jamie Newman I thought had some pretty good upside for rushing anyway. So kind of the same with Mond. There's some rushing upside there with.
And for you, these quarterbacks are all fourth-round picks, basically?
Yes, in this format for sure.
Okay. That's going to do it for quarterbacks. We're going to move on to tight ends, and we're going to talk about the top tier in tight ends, and that is one man and one man alone, Kyle Pitts. Matt, Kyle Pitts, basically a wide receiver playing tight end. Where do you see taking him? As you can see by my ranking, I have him as the number one overall. You have him down at 6. I'll explain why I think he's number one overall. It's because he's the best wide receiver in this class, and he plays tight end. So I get somebody who I can designate as my tight end who is basically a wide receiver. And as long as he has that tight end designation, he's going to be the number one pick for me. Even if he had the wide receiver designation, then maybe he'd fall behind like some of the running backs. But as long as he has that tight end designation, you can basically put a tight end in your, or a wide receiver in your tight end spot. And the value there for me is just too much.
No, I agree that Pitts is by far and away the number one tight end for this class for sure. Mid round one pick for me. Tight end premium obviously moves up a bit. Yeah, if you're going to be spending number one pick over on him to 1 to 5, you need him to be a top 5 tight end this year to justify that, in my opinion. I can't be certain that he's going to be hit that right away. Very possible, but there's a little bit of other guys that I think are a little bit more sure things. And again, I'm big time running backs are more important. I get it, but I don't think he's just worth number one.
So with this being Dynasty, first of all, the tight end's going to last a lot longer. So you're getting more mileage out of him than you would a running back. And again, every team needs running backs. Even after the amazing running back draft that we had last year for rookies, and this one being not as good. And again, we'll talk about running backs later this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. To me, what I see the Falcons doing is saying, okay, you're a tight end, but we're going to line you up as a wide receiver or as a tight end, and we're going to try to score as many points as possible because our defense can't stop anyone. And they can't fix the defense that quickly, but they can give this offense a dynamic player who, do I think he leads the team in receiving? Probably not. But I see him being ahead of Julio. I mean, Julio's kind of going down. The injuries keep piling up. I can see him having a 1,000-yard season.
Possibly. I mean, Arthur Smith went over there from Tennessee. Loves using tight ends as well. So that's definitely going to help him. I think obviously it crushes Hayden Hurst to see him there. But, yeah, I don't think I see him ahead of Julio. And that's another thing with that landing spot. Ridley, Julio, they all got to get – they're going to get theirs as well. I would – if he gets 1,000, I won't be, stunned, but I would be surprised.
Okay, so he's an early first-round pick. If you need a tight end who can play right away, which is very rare with rookie tight ends too. That's the thing. When you get a rookie tight end, you're sitting waiting. Like the man in the back, I know you can't see him right now, but I'll give you a shot of him. Right there, I mean, he's going into year 3 now.
Yeah. And
finally, there's talk of him being the guy because Rudolph is gone, because he had some games last year. But you've been waiting 3 years for the second-round draft pick in your rookie draft to finally hit. And TJ Hawkinson in that same draft and Noah Fant were firsts. And we were expecting them to do something last year. Hawkinson was pretty good. Fant had a lot of injury concerns. But this is one of the few tight ends that you're ever going to see who year 1 is going to have just big volume and could put up 1,000 yards. I've never said that for a rookie tight end ever coming into the NFL.
No, I agree. I don't think I've ever heard you say that. Anything possible about a rookie tight end in the history of football.
Right. So that's why I think he's that high of a pick. And if you need a tight end, I think you have to take him 1. If the spot that's missing on your team is tight end, you have to take him 1. If you have a good tight end and you're not in a tight end premium and you can't start him in the flex, although he's probably one of the tight ends that you'll be able to start in the flex, and maybe you go for a different need. But if you don't have a tight end, if you've been rocking with his buddy Hayden Hurst or the guy like Jared Cook, just like nothing great, or if you're running Gronk last year, this is, to me, if you're a contending team, you have to take them. And if you somehow have a pick that early. Let's move on to the second tier. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I have pick 1 and that would be who I'm looking at picking, I'm probably trading down to pick 3 or 4 because you're probably going to get him there anyway. I think ADP has Najee Harris as 1. Our poll had Najee Harris as 1. I think Chase is probably 2. Is that consensus? I don't know the ADP off the top of my head, but
the rankings that Fantasy Pros have him at 3.
So you could
with
move
Harris
down
and Chase ahead of him.
You could move down and probably get him the 3-4 spot maybe.
I will say be careful who you're trading with.
Yes,
if you end up trading with somebody who needs a tight end, then they're probably going to take him. So make sure you don't trade with that team.
Find that Travis Kelce or George Kittle owner or something.
Yes, exactly. Make sure it's not a tight end premium either, because tight end premium, I think you can make a very strong argument for him being 1.
Very different.
Even though I have him 1 you would maybe say that. All right, let's talk about the second tier, the lesser known guys. We have Matt, name them off.
Just because you don't want to say his name and you want to watch me.
FREIERMUTH? I can say FREIERMUTH all day. Not a problem.
FREIERMUTH. It's FREIERMUTH, I believe. Pat FREIERMUTH. And Brevin Jordan. That one's a lot easier.
Yeah. So, Matt, who's your favorite out of these two?
Pat FREIERMUTH. Love the landing spot in Pittsburgh. Yeah, I think he's going to do pretty well there. I was leaning towards putting Jordan ahead of him until I saw his landing spot. And I just think that's going to be a great spot for him. I've seen the comparisons to like Heath Miller, which isn't great, but it's pretty solid.
Top 10 tight end for a good period of time, though.
Yeah.
But how long until he develops into that? That's the question, right? This is not Kyle Pitts right away. This is more along the lines of, hey, there's another guy there named Eric Ebron, who was a first-round pick. Hasn't been great in his career, but he's there, just like Kyle Rudolph was ahead of Irv Smith for a while. So you're going to be waiting. This isn't a Kyle Pitts situation. This is you're picking up a tight end for the future. You have to have a tight end now because like if you have Travis Kelce, this is a fine pick because Travis Kelce, by the time he's on the downswing, Pat FREIERMUTH is going to be on the upswing. So that's kind of what you're looking at.
There's a lot of guys that, there's a lot of tight ends that will get you by for this year. You probably don't have to wait more than a year, maybe 2 for him, but I think even by the end of this year, he might be borderline top 12. He looks like a very solid player, and I just don't believe in Eric Ebron either.
Fair enough. So we have him as about a late second-round pick. I have him more in the middle. Again, it just depends on if you need a tight end. Mm-hmm. And if you need a tight end for this year, well, this isn't going to help you because it's a rookie tight end. So you're taking this as a depth position. You have to be thinking ahead. I have a tight end who's in his 30s. That's who I'm starting. This is a good pick in the second round because I don't have any other needs. If you have needs, you see the guys we have ranked around here. Like, is Eskridge going to do much in his first year? Probably not. Is Yami Brown? Maybe. There's not that much competition there. If you don't need a quarterback, Tylan Wallett's a very good player. Went to a bad landing spot. Chuba isn't going to be playing. So all these guys around here aren't probably going to be starting either. So you're basically taking the depth position here late in the second round, middle of the second round, if you are worried about tight end or you think another team is going to go up and grab him. But Brevin Jordan, even though he's in the same tier, is way further down. We have him as basically, I don't even know what that's like, a late third, early fourth round pick.
Yeah.
And one of the things that stood out to me about Brevin is the guy is not very good at blocking. So that scares me on how often he can get on the field. But he's a pretty solid contributor in the pass game. He's got some strong hands. He's a fantasy tight end.
Right.
And if he can get his blocking in line, he should be in line for some playing time, as there's no one there who's really stood out in Houston.
No, exactly. And like we mentioned earlier in the video with Davis Mills, there's just not a lot of weapons there, so he will get opportunity. How good you can block is not relevant for fantasy. If you're not on and rushing downs, not a big deal for us as long as you're in the passing game. You said he's got good hands. He's a threat in the passing game for sure, and I don't mind him late third, early fourth if I want a tight end for about 2 or 3 years down the road.
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. You're just adding depth to your tight end position. Last year wasn't a great tight end draft. This year is not a great tight end draft other than the man himself, Kyle Pitts, but you need to add to the tight end position because you have yourself Travis Kelce, and he's getting a bit older. It's the time to start looking at these tight ends. So a late third, early fourth tight end, that's a good pick there.
Yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, at that point, you're kind of doing dart throws anyway and hoping somebody hits.
Any other sleeper tight ends that you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Not really. It'd be a stretch to draft anybody else.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else being fantasy relevant at this point. Matt, anything to add before we go?
Not in regards to tight ends here, no.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for a quarterback and tight end rookie draft strategy breakdown. Hopefully this was helpful to you. If it was, make sure to hit that thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe. And that's it.